All right, there we go. Peace, peace, peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome to Transformational Tuesdays at Empower You. This is Kelly Little, and I'm coming at you today with two brilliant brothers who are doing outstanding work in the community. All of you all know Aaron Wells and the Imperial brother, Gary Fatal Amos, coming at you live and direct from Philadelphia.
All right.
Or by way of Philadelphia. Anyway, we start off the show every day, right, with we start off the show every time with gratitude. So what I would like for us to do is, Aaron, if you would, please bless us and tell us two things that you're grateful for.
First and foremost, thank you so much for having me. Always love hanging out with the Kings. Kelly, I am always grateful for family. Always grateful for family. I haven't seen my family in Philly in a year. And my sister sent me a recording from 2019 when I was home for my birthday, which is the last time 2020, March, the last time I was in Philly. And she sent me a recording of my birthday celebration at the house, and it just warmed my heart. Always appreciative of family and always appreciative of community. I thank God that I share with people often that if I come back, if that's the truth, I'm coming back Black. And if I had an opportunity to die and be reborn 100 times, I would come back 113 times Black. I love community, and I'm appreciative that in his grace that he allowed me to be in the community I'm in the skin that I'm in, and to be a part of what I believe is just the greatness of being Black. So my family and my culture, I'm extremely appreciative of.
Man, that's deep, Aaron. I'll say this, it takes a diverse group of people to be able to understand and look at things from different perspectives. And if each and every one of us embraced our culture, as well as respected everybody else's culture, the world will be a better place. So I'm going to go to my brother Fatal. Tell me two things that you're grateful for.
Sure. So for me, two things that I'm definitely grateful for, and thank you for having me too on your show. For me, two things that I'm definitely thankful for is one is life. Not everybody has the opportunity to wake up that next morning. Some people don't even make it through the night. So I'm very grateful for that. But also just the spirit of give back, that philanthropic mindset, being able to help others and to reach back and help bring a brother forward and help him, get on his feet, but also, display his skill set that he may be able to help in the community, help bettering and forwarding it forward.
See, now we talking about elevating the human condition.
Yep.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So both of my brothers dropped some beautiful jewels for us tonight. And for myself, first and foremost, we don't exist without breath. Breath oxygenates our entire body, but it also is something that some of our fallen soldiers did not have the opportunity to have. And I say that with respect to Eric Gardner and respect to George Floyd. But then in addition to that, each and every one of us that's in this Zoom call tonight all gave a commitment to the United States military to put our life on the line so that each and every person in this great country that we call America may have the opportunity to move, to sit, to think and reflect in whatever space they choose to do so from. So breath is extremely important to me. And then lastly, the only thing we have in this world is our word. And so I'm real grateful to Brother Fatal here because he started a fraternity, which is going to be our conversation tonight for military Greeks to be able to uplift community, to uplift our fellow veterans, and then play a role in elevating the human condition. So shout out to you for being the founder of Mu Beta Phi
Thank you,
and
fellas.
giving veterans and soldiers something to look forward to, but that also gives our community something to be able to look at and be proud of. And that's powerful. So I thought, you're welcome. I thought Shotgun was gonna be in here tonight. Looks like, okay, he behind the scenes. So Shotgun, give me 2 things that you're grateful for, sir.
First off, good evening. 2 things I'm grateful for.
Your connection kind of bad.
Okay, hold on a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so 2 things I'm grateful for. The first thing was already said, life. The second thing would be for a mind to not settle for what I'm, dealing with, to the mindset to want to improve and to do better and to be better and to help those other individuals out, to point them in the right direction, to help them to set their goals and to achieve and not just, be in the status quo, but to, transcend and don't be what people think you should be, but
Man. Okay. Not thinking outside the box, but kicking the walls to the box down and realizing, that anything is possible. When you talk about thinking outside the box, you got to realize that there is a box. And extraordinary people realize that extraordinary things exist when you have nothing blocking your peripheral view, your upper vision, and so forth. So I'm going to jump right into something that's going to be important tonight. So, Brother Fatal, do me a favor and please educate the masses on who is Mu Beta Phi. Oh, you on mute, Brother Fatal.
So what I was saying was, just thank you for that question. And that's a great way to lead into the topic. And so Mu Beta Phi is one of many military Greek letter organizations, but I like to believe that we are one of the standard bearers of military Greeks. And so with that, we are an international Greek letter organization that is exclusive to men of the armed forces. If you served in one of the 5 branches, whether or not you're active duty, veteran, or retired, this is a door for you to come to and to seek continued brotherhood of service to the community, but also mentorship to our junior enlisted personnel or junior officer personnel that are within our ranks. It's also there to kind of help and cater to those who suffer from mental health issues, substance abuse issues, but also mentoring of young men that come from veteran homes or Gold Star families, helping to get them into higher education institutions, but also to help those veterans in need find stable shelter, good nourishment, and warm and cold weather clothing that we can provide to them.
Oh man, see, Aaron, I know your wheel's spinning. So I know this. And so just so you know, Brother Fatal, Aaron is actually the director of a alcohol and substance abuse facility. And so we are really broadcasting on their network to be able to create pathways or vessels of opportunity so that if there's a veteran out there, they can find out about us and they can join us. And I'm looking to kind of lean on Aaron soon to get him headed in that direction
Okay.
But Aaron, go ahead. I know you got a question or so.
A couple of things, and thank you. So I'm listening about the organization first of all, and I share with people often. I use the VA for most of my primary care stuff, right? Primary care issues. I did 9 years in the military,
Okay.
and in the Army. And when I go to the VA, even during the tension of the last election year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to see and hear all types of opinions and thoughts. When I go to the VA, there is always, and I got out the military, I've been out close to over 20 years. When I go to the VA, there is always a sense of camaraderie.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they're from the hills of West Virginia or Long Beach or North Philly, right? It doesn't matter if they're whatever, black, white, male, female, tall, short. There's always this sense of camaraderie. There's a connection of understanding, right? Dress right, dress. There's this connection of understanding fatigues. There's this understanding of the authority and so forth, right? Those things that comprise the military. And so when you were speaking, Brother Gary, I was just connecting those dots, right? So there's this official, or there's a fraternity. There's a fraternity for and of, and I experienced that unofficially, but deep within me when I'm at the VA. So one, I thank you for that, right? Because the reality of it is we are many, and we encompass so many things. So that was the first thing that I thought about. The second thing that I thought about, and Kelly spent enough time with me, my wheels was turning, that there are so many former, and so that's the direction I'm thinking in, so many former military, right? So many veterans who are out there who are disconnected.
Yes.
Who don't feel a part of, regardless of what it is, right? They don't feel a part of. I'm doing some things here in Charlotte, working with some of the folks that was at Tent City, and I'm digging in and in conversations. So many veterans who are experiencing homelessness for different reasons, right? But the commonality is not that they're experiencing houselessness or homelessness. They're veterans. They served this country. They did that time. And so what is there available for them? What is available for them to be able to allow them to understand that I belong to something? And so I wanted to say that. The third, I just wanted our organization promised. Go ahead.
Just do want to back up a second, because with Brother Fatal not being from Charlotte, just kind of give them the ground thing on what Tent City is.
I can, and the reality of it is, thank you, Kelly. It's duplicated throughout the country, right? It's our brothers and sisters who they say the term is that they're homeless, but this is their home. It just is comprised of tents, and so our folks begin to congregate in certain areas, and before you know it, it's a whole city there.
It's a whole city.
150 people, right? And they have found a way to figure it out. They have found a way to make it. That blanket of understanding, which is false, the false narrative about people who don't have houses traditionally. So we like to call them houseless versus homeless, because this becomes their home. Some people are sending their children to school from these areas or going to work from these areas. Well, here in Charlotte, there was a 72-hour abatement for political reasons, and I don't have a problem with that, where they moved them out, and now our folks are encamped throughout the city at different hotels and so forth. And so it's really a brick and mortar tent city now, but that was it. And so one of the things that I do in my profession, my squad, I work for an organization, Promise Resource Network. We're embedded in the strategies and the supports to help move our folks out of those hotels into some quality housing while supporting with needed resources. And as I'm having conversations, I'm running into so many veterans, right? And so we miss them on Veterans Day. We miss them on Memorial's Day. You know, when they sing the national anthem at halftime of the game, and we missing them. And
Yeah,
they shouldn't be missed. And so
I agree.
I actually work for a peer-run organization, and it's recovery of all areas of life, including mental wellness and substance abuse, incarceration. And so we have this opportunity to get out and serve. So that's where my wells was. Just thinking about the brothers and sisters who fly under the radar, but they need to be promoted as anybody else who has served their country. And it seems like you have a vehicle that's doing that.
Yeah. And Brother Kelly, let me just tag on to what he's saying. And so I'm gonna tell you, I really like having conversations like this because it then tells you who is really in line with what you're trying to do as a vision as a whole. And so I just want to point out a couple things. And I want to talk strictly about what we call our Herculean effort program. This program is designed to help homeless veterans that suffer from substance abuse. And then it ties to our mission objectives, which is strength, faith, and knowledge. And most importantly, right now, broadening the knowledge of our veteran community. And so when you talk about things like the tent city, and just the knowledge of the veteran on one, how to apply for benefits, two, what benefits they qualify for, and three, where to go to apply. Those are the things that as advocates and philanthropists, we need to align ourselves with when we talk about that veteran community. And I'll point to something real quick when we talk about the mental health part of this. It's understanding that, we should not have homeless veterans. But something dawned on me, and I spoke on this last night, and I'll never forget this, my last year in the Navy before I retired, that statistically, the government gives a veteran 5 years lifespan after they take that uniform off. That tells me they're already expecting us to be dissolved from this earth. That's unfortunate that you put a tag on a veteran after you served the country. And to hear people say it's okay for veterans to be homeless, to me, it's not okay for them to be homeless. There should never be a situation where someone who has served and gave their life to the country, and if you put the metrics to it, 3/4 of their life, okay, that's the reality. From the time a person joins the military till they retire or separate, they have given 3/4 of their life to this country. And for them to walk out the door and not be solidified or to have any kind of solid foundation behind them, that's unfortunate. And that's a failure on the government's part. Now, how do we fight that? And it takes people who have the knowledge, have the skill sets, and have the platform to help bring those people into the forefront and want to help them, find just adequate shelter. And that's where the network system comes into play. And if you've been around in the military long enough, everything really works off of a network system. You can't do it alone. You have to have other people helping. So that's what I look to do, to work with great men with mindsets like yourself and Brother Little and others that, to have a platform or a vehicle that can drive us in the direction of pulling a veteran off the street. And if we pull one a year off the street, that's progress. And that's what I look for, is the progress in everything we do.
Look, so Brother Fatal just wonderfully answered one of the second questions I was going to ask. So you see how in alignment we are, because you hear fraternities, you hear organizations, but sometimes people are asked questions and can't really speak to what their organization does succinctly and effectively. He just told you about one of the initiatives. And so the great thing is, earlier on, he talked about the other three, and they're just as critical and just as important, because when he scoped and built this thing out, they also have something that's called the Mighty Warriors program, where we're talking about working with young people and single parent moms who are essentially leading young kids. Well, these soldiers will step in and be a resource to help not only mentor them, but sponsor them. And so these are some of the things that drew me to this fraternity, as well as their support of big brothers and big sisters. And even when he speaks to community service, he's not just talking about, let's go out, let's pick up trash, We're talking about exposure and connecting to the larger sense of community service as it relates to being professional, because our job as military leaders, and although we're retired, we are still leaders, is the same job that a parent has for their child, which is to prepare young people for when you transition to be able to navigate that space and bring the next person up, because you remember that you stood on the backs of those who walked before you, and our backs will be our great fates. So I'm really, really excited for where this organization is going. And Brother Fado, I'm going to tap into you to touch on something else. And so the question ties to this: having a background in mental health and helping people navigate child support systems. Currently, our current condition is this. We're going back to military and we're going to do war planning. So COVID-19, pandemic, right? And I say distraction with respect, but I say distraction because COVID-19 is a distraction, because pandemic does not speak enough about what it is. It's actually a syndemic, which is the clustering of multiple pandemics, systemic and institutional racism, and repeated exposure to trauma.
So the smoke and mirrors theory right there. That's what you're talking about.
Exactly. So I want you to talk about what you and the brotherhood continue to do to create a space for brothers to heal so that they can move without pressure.
So actually that's a great point that you're making there. And so, you know, I can't tell you how many brothers, like when I go to these initiation ceremonies, or if I'm just in a deep conversation with a brother, how many brothers say, "You saved my life." And it's not that I hate when they say that. I don't think that I'm worthy of that type of accreditation, because the reality is this: we all have something, and we all have a vice in our life. Every last man has a vice in our life. And the reality of it is we need each other to help pull ourselves from that vice. And so that's what this brotherhood is about. In my opinion, it's not about wearing these jackets. It's not about MUFIing all over the place. It's about when that brother is in a dark space and in a space where he doesn't have anywhere to turn. He got a brother to the left and his right that's one, willing to listen, and then two, may have an experience in that life that might help him get over something that he's currently going through. So that to me is what brotherhood actually speaks of. Being naked, being transparent, you know, taking the pride off your shoulders for a minute, and just know that you got a brother that's going through the same thing that either currently or previously that you are going through. And we heal together, and we heal as one, and we grow as one. That is the mentality that I hope the men in the organization take from Mu Beta Phi when we talk about just, you know, mental health and trying to overcome it, not falling victim to the whole medicated portion of trying to heal through anxiety, depression, self-esteem issues and stuff like that. That to me, that is an added vice to what you already suffer from mentally. Now you got a brother that you can look to and say, you know what, I used to be him. I want to continue to grow and be like him now. You know, and that's what I look at when I talk about the men of Mu Beta Phi.
Hey, look, so I'm gonna throw this out there. So when you just shared that, for those who may not know, we can talk about epigenetics and how just being in a space when you may not be feeling well with a group of men who are alpha males, but who care unconditionally about you, it raises your vibration, it raises your frequency, and it elevates your mood and changes your very DNA and genetics. And so when I think of that, and I think about the healing being in the story, you shared this where men have shared, you saved their lives. And I'm going to share another example of, so I got to push my first line. So I was the dean on the last line. And when we came through, we had 12 two of the brothers from the Royal Court. We had Royal Brother Freeway and Royal Brother Triton. And so while we're doing the King's Court and the guys are going through their proficiency test, we had a component where we was sharing one thing that they wanted to give up. And so one of the brothers, and he said I could share it, but what he shared was he lost his brother a year ago, right the day before we was going to cross. And so he was very vulnerable in that moment. And what Royal Brother Triton shared was, imagine this. You lost your brother 1 year ago, 1 day and 1 year ago from today.
From this day, yep.
And you are getting ready to cross and you're gaining 400 new brothers. So the brothers' plate went from being angst, semi-depressed, to realizing he just crossed a pathway where he got so many other brothers to reach out to lift his spirit up, and vow that because of that day, that creates an opportunity for him to reach back and grab some other brothers up. And so that's that impact that you can't measure quantitatively, because that's going to be passed on to everybody he come into contact with.
Yeah.
And that's one of those moments that I can't even, I mean, I don't know what you say about it. It was so humbling to hear and see that it was divine intervention, letting you know what, you did the right thing, because you know what you are a part of.
Can I jump in for just a moment?
Yes, sir.
Because you're driving something inside of me. So as I hear about the brotherhood component, Brother Gary, and the example that you just gave, Kelly, one of the things that is missing in community, right, for our young kings, our young brothers, is the presence of interpretation, right? To be able to have people to help them interpret what's going on with them, to help interpret what I'm dealing with. When I went to the military, I had this family of brothers that I grew up with in North Philly, right? And from the neighborhood, I had two sets. And so I had the brothers that I grew up with from 31st Street, and then I had the brothers that I hung with 27th Street, right? But then I had my basketball family of that brotherhood. So when I went into the military, I understood team, I understood brotherhood, right? But what I didn't know how to do outside of the streets is truly interpret what was happening with me inside as a man. My dad wasn't, he was doing his thing, so he wasn't there to help me interpret. When I heard you speak and I heard Kelly's example, Kelly, that the brother that you said helped the other brother understand that you are receiving, you lost one, but you're receiving 400. He helped him interpret. And the military helped me interpret. My brotherhood in the military helped me interpret what was happening to me growing up. I went to the military as an older young cat. I was 23 years old, but I had no experience. I had no work ethic. I quit everything I had ever done and tried. And that's one of the things that happened for me with the military. I asked God, give me something that I can't quit. I just couldn't get up and walk away at 6 a.m, right? It was coming after me, right? So I just couldn't do that. So he gave me something I couldn't quit. And so I learned, and by being in that environment, I was able to then begin to interpret what was happening, how I felt, how I thought, tapping into my feelings. And so I just wanted to say, Kelly, the example you gave proved that out, right? This brother helped this other brother interpret what was actually happening in his spirit, in his world. And then, Brother Gary, when you talked about the brotherhood, I was thinking about a missing link in community for our young men, not necessarily to make them military minded, but to take the best of that experience and be able to insert that in their lives to help them begin to interpret what that looks like as far as manhood, what that looks like as far as brotherhood, what that looks like from an individual standpoint. We talk about the trauma, what it is that I'm dealing with and how to interpret it and to heal from it in such a way that I'm bringing health and to myself, to my family, to community, versus the damage that comes when I don't interpret this thing well. I feel like everybody's against me. I feel like the pressures of the world are on me. And if somebody doesn't help me interpret that, it's not going to look good for me or for anybody else.
I definitely understand that. And, you know, I want to kind of just bring this back 360 with what Brother Aaron and Brother Kelly's talking about. And so, Brother Kelly, you know, I know exactly what piece you're talking about when we get to the King's Court and we look at that transformation station. And, you know, to me, that is the most important piece about everything we do that night. You know, and I say that because it taps into what we're talking about here with Brother Aaron and yourself, what we're talking about. And what I look at, this has always been my motto when we talk about men like this who come into the organization that have some type of adversity or some kind of travesty in their life. And they always say, what am I going to do now? I have no one to turn to. But I'll only say one thing to everyone when I go to these King's Court is turn around and you have about 150 men, but you also got another 250, 300 standing right behind you that's there to accept you as a brother. You have brothers. This is brotherhood. This is fraternal. This is what it's supposed to be. We are a family. A lot of us men, you know, and I raise my hand and include myself, we don't have much of a family support system, okay? Like, you know, I've lost my parents to drug addiction, you know, and not just getting into details, but my father not being non-existent. There is no family support. So your family becomes the fraternal brothers in the organization. And they're like, it's like you can see it physically when their light bulb clicks on when you say, you got brothers, and they turn around and they see all these men standing behind them, ready to embrace them as a brother. Like, that's the most touching part for me, you know, and a lot of people, it's unfortunate because not everybody's fraternal. Nobody's wanting to be fraternal. So they miss that element of the family support that's actually there if you're doing things the right way. So like this conversation, it can go on for the whole night, you know, because I love talking about the brotherhood. But like you struck it right there, Brother Aaron, you know, that's what it's about, man, building that family system, that support system, and knowing that you got people that you can rely on.
So just to add on to what Brother Fatal was saying, Aaron and Brother Fatal knows some, but like, so my background is mental health. My background is working with Black and brown boys and men and connecting communities, government, and other spaces together to have a system of care or a cadre of people to help pass people off to the right people so they get the right support. So when I think of Mu Beta Phi, I cannot only think of it in one way, which is veterans, but I'm also thinking of the impact that it has on the community. I flash back to the National Day of Service, right? Where kings all across the United States and internationally was putting in work in specific communities, which again is tied back to modeling, and what we model, other people follow. So you had kings passing out protective masks, gloves, socks, so many different things. Matter of fact, Brother Shotgun in the background connected with his family church, which was in a certain part of North Carolina near Fayetteville, the Fort Bragg area. And not only did we get those things, I had a little bit of clothing and some shoes, and that's something that we continually do to include the conversation you just said, Aaron, in terms of young people not having guidance, may not have that father in their life. I fall in that the space where like there were women and other people who provided support, but sometimes you didn't have a lot of the male influence because we lost some people to the penitentiary system, or we lost people to drugs and so on and so forth. But now you got men who are committed to showing up. And again, I said the Mighty Warriors program, that's directed specifically at young people with a specific agenda. And one of the things that you will be told is, if you can't consistently implement this practice, then we can't start it, because what we can't do is start something with young people, let them down, and then be gone. And so the whole structure is set up to make sure it's a win-win. And I say win-win to give an illustration, but it's only one win, because when you stitch community with with the Mu Beta Phi and the Mighty Beta Kings, it's only one choice.
Yep.
Because they're all connected. When you get in a car, if you don't have a key, or if you have a key but you don't have gas in your car ain't moving.
Mhm.
So when you get the brothers with the specific programs that were put in place, man, we driving a high dollar vehicle.
Yep.
That's efficient and effective. And so, like, again, shout out to Big Brother Fatal for constructing this, and not just for creating a network for veterans, but making it so, and I'm gonna put this in military terms, so you got a inner cordon to protect the soldiers, but then you got an outer cordon to make sure nobody infiltrates the bond and the structure of what was built to benefit community, soldiers, which ultimately changes the entire ecosystem. And that is phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah, and not only is it phenomenal in an impact, just listening about it, Kelly and Brother Gary, just the concept. And I'm glad you put it in military terms, Kelly, because for a military minded, right, we think in those terms, but in reality, it's just practical. It's really practical. You protect the inner and the core so that it can grow healthy from within, and you protect those things from the outside that could stop the healthy growth inside. So as you put that in military terms, it really is practical terms, right? That's literally how we set things up that they can last. And part of it is when it's precious, you got to protect it. When it has a value, you have to protect it. And so I'm just loving it. Brother Shotgun is over there jamming with us, right?
Yeah.
He went to FAMU too.
Okay, that's my old alma mater. I went to FAM. Yep, I went to FAM. Played for Coach Joe, Philly Joe. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm HBCU too. I went to Morgan.
Morgan, okay. All right. Yep, that's good stuff. Good stuff right there. Yeah. Oh, he must can hear us now. You on mute, bro, if you're saying something.
Now I see why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have a choir practice, so I'm trying to do multitask.
Okay.
What you were saying there, Imperial brother?
No, I was saying if you were saying something, we couldn't hear you because you were on mute.
Oh no, I was laughing when y'all started talking about you said something about FAMU.
No, I was saying that's my old alma mater.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I was there from 95 to 96.
I was there from 94 to 97 or 99, and I took a break. Yeah, I was marching in the band and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's what's up. Yep, we probably crossed paths down there then if that was the case. So,
Always a connection in the universe. Always.
Yes.
One way or another.
Is. Yep. Small world. Yep.
And y'all actually touched on something that was really big. This is the thing that I tell people when we was just talking a minute ago. When you can't go outside, hence pandemic, you go inside. Meditation, mindfulness, learning to master yourself. And that's where a lot of the healing is. Even though we orient ourselves to like small things that disappoint or frustrate us, it's only tied back to something that has been bothering us prior to. So like that internal work is big. Yeah. And that's one of the things I see, particularly with things that's tied to the fraternity that they walk people through when they're going through their process. And so you building somebody at their core almost like going back to basic training again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yep. Definitely true.
So look, I ain't going to steal too much of your time, but I like for you to really reorient us since we went through this little circle. What do you see Mu Beta Phi aspiring to in the future? Because we looking at the sustainability is there, but the long-term planning. What's the long-term vision?
Yeah. So I tell you, I always get that question, right? You know, obviously I don't share the whole vision with everyone because you just can't, because you got people that will try to leech on. We don't even need to go there. But anyway, so I will say this much. We have a 3, 5, and 7 year plan. And right now we are ahead of our planning phase of those milestones. So in that 3 year mark, we were supposed to establish our first chapter in the organization. We're at 11 right now. That 5 year mark, we're supposed to establish our headquarters building. We are getting ready to sign on our headquarters building a whole year before then. And then ultimately what we wanted to do, we wanted to be the first military fraternity to have a homeless shelter specifically for homeless veterans. And we are in the process of working that now. We just put our committee in place. We have our group established, and now we're putting the bingo marks on the bingo board is where we're at now. So that's our 7 year mark, and we're already at year 4 talking about year 7. And then the ultimate path where I can say us as the founders can take the pack off. I want to be able to be the first military fraternity to sit at a Senate Armed Services Committee town hall and argue in favor of veteran benefits. That is my ultimate goal for this organization. We can establish the brotherhood, but now we need to put the political and diplomatic pieces into the brotherhood that can sit at that table with those lawmakers, those change agents, those people that can make the things happen that we need for the veteran community. So we're there. We're getting ready to knock on the door. That's all that needs to be said.
Hey, look, Aaron, I'm gonna say this. So again, the pride with being a part of this organization is tied to practical things. But then in addition to that, I tell people all the time, you can have the greatest leaders in place. However, if you're not impacting and affecting policy on a legislative level, then when that leader leaves, it goes back to what's in policy. So what Brother Fatal just dropped is how we should be thinking, right? Real strategically, real tactically. And then how do we put things in place that leave a legacy that has an impact several generations down the line? So beautifully said. And Aaron, what do you got for me, man?
Well, I actually have a question for Brother Gary. So,
yes, sir.
So Brother Gary, I'm a vet, right? And I'm embedded in community. What would be my entry point in? How would I become involved? How would I become a member?
Yeah. So becoming a member really is about one specific thing: service. Okay. We are called servicemen for a reason. We serve. And so like we differ from Divine Nine or other collegiate Greeks, like you have a degree that you need to get into the door. For us, our degree is our DD 214. So as long as you have one of those that has honorably discharged on it, we are willing to accept you as a brother into this organization. Now, like I tell everyone, getting in the door is fine. Staying in the door is what's going to keep you as a member of Mu Beta Phi. And I just say one phrase: get in where you fit in. I'm a part of the Divine Nine. My president, I look at him as a mentor, and that is always one thing he says to me: get in where you fit in. And it makes sense. Get in where you fit in. No brother in this organization should ever be able to say he does not have something to do. Bring your talents to the table. If you have something that you can floor plan yourself, bring it to the table, and I will always welcome it as a piece that you can take full credit for. You know, we just want the brothers to bring the skill set under the name of Nu Beta Phi and make that a household name under your program. And that's it, you know, that's it. So I can speak for my founding brothers with this. We're just looking for good men to bring their talents. And you have your platform to display your talents. And it's just that simple.
That was pretty simple.
I hope
that was pretty simple.
Yeah.
I just see need, Kelly. I believe in all hands on deck when it comes to community, and that includes all communities. But for me, the specifics of Black community. And when I hear you talk about it, not just your excitement, Brother Gary, and Kelly, using those military terms that I can connect to, but there really is a true need from the community service side, from the mentor side, and just from the transference of those things, those principles, those standards, those traditions, right? Those honorable things that come along with being servicemen, and that being transferred into lifestyle and everyday life for people who at times just are looking for answers and don't know. So I'm glad that I was on tonight. I'm glad I had an opportunity to hear. It yet makes me, again, one of my great accomplishments of life was my 9 years in military, and it's situations, programs, initiatives, brotherhoods like this that make me know that I didn't do a bad thing by serving those 9 years.
Oh no. Yep. I definitely, I hear you there.
Even though at the time.
Yeah. we all thought that when we was in there for a minute. So yeah. I understand what you're saying. So, yep.
Kelly, thank you for the invite tonight, brother.
No doubt, bro. No doubt.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here, bro.
Look, I was blessed for having both of y'all on tonight. I'm looking forward to getting this pushed out because, again, the frat is not looking for quantity but quality. I already know what type of brother you are, Aaron, but hopefully we can get some quality brothers who are willing to put in work in the community and uplift the human condition in all different parts of our community. So super excited about this.
Yeah, same here. I definitely appreciate you having me on. It was better than what I actually expected, because I didn't know what all we were going to be talking about. So I love when I get a chance to just talk to other men about the fraternity and stuff like that. So I appreciate it.
I mean, I'm really grateful because I know the people will appreciate it, particularly when they think that we hit our time card and we clock out, that we really clocked out. But like I tell people all the time, I retired from the Army and then I enlisted back in the community where we all started at. So I'm super excited that we're doing this from, Nu Beta Phi perspective. And this is just a piece of it, Aaron. Like, if you really knew what all goes into this, which I'm hoping you're going to consider taking this journey, because it's well worth it.
Hey, listen, the beta's been set. So, Brother Gary, I will be in contact.